Hello friends, today we're going to discuss about an important topic, AI and psychotherapy. In this video, I'm going to answer an important question. Can artificial intelligence replace psychotherapists in the near future? I'm Dr. Suresh Badadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. Before I start my presentation, I would like to place this disclaimer. This is an academic and research exercise, not a legal opinion. For a legal opinion, please do contact an advocate. Opinion shared in this video is my personal. It is nothing to do with the institute where I'm working or with the organizations where I collaborate or I do research. For detailed disclaimer, please see the first 40 seconds of this video. Let's now discuss about the AI and psychotherapy. What are the different types of artificial intelligence-based psychotherapy that exist across the world? What is the difference between artificial intelligence-based psychotherapy versus human-delivered psychotherapy? What about empathizing skills and transference skills by AI-delivered psychotherapy? What is the way forward? And finally, I'll be answering, will artificial intelligence replace human-delivered psychotherapy? Let's understand psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is an effective intervention for mental illness. Basically, it's aimed at helping the individuals to overcome various mental health issues. It is an effective intervention, but has its own positive and negative effect also. The main drawback of psychotherapy at this point of time across the world is accessibility. Waiting period for psychotherapy is huge. Cost, and also stigma of seeking help from a human being may restrict the usage. Although it's effective, but access is a big challenge. In this regard, now artificial intelligence is coming in the forefront. Actually, the word artificial intelligence was coined by John McCarthy in 1956. It refers to simulation of human intelligence by machines. As you know, the computers, calculators, initially when it was introduced, it majorly played a role of memory, that is like temporal lobe. Then slowly simple calculation was added, that is parietal lobe. Over a period of time, executive function, frontal lobe related issues, amygdala, limbic system, occipital, cerebellum. So these function of the brain is being slowly innovated into a computer. At this point of time, the computers are able to do an amazing storing capability, calculating, to some extent executive functional capability, emotional capabilities, especially response is growing up, visual scanning, and also some of the robots which have been inculcated AI are able to play a role of cerebellum by balancing. That means artificial intelligence is slowly almost able to replace human brain. The question is still, can it replace the healthcare worker? Artificial intelligence has transformed operation across all sectors. Name the sector. It is becoming ubiquitous across human delivery of any services. It may be automation to intelligent decision making, financial sector, and health sector. Artificial intelligence offers innovative opportunities to enhance psychotherapy through personalized intervention, using chatbots and precision therapeutic techniques. What does it mean? Let me break it into simpler terms. Artificial intelligence psychotherapy can be used by clinicians or therapists for assessment, diagnosis, to do a good intake session with administering consent, providing information, that is psychoeducation, monitoring, the therapy, and also the outcome. Similarly, the artificial intelligence can also be used by the clients for understanding their illness, the process of therapy, monitoring how they are doing, homework, adherence, assignments, and also to get help in between the sessions also through artificial intelligence. What are the different ways AI is playing a role in psychotherapy? The first one, there is no role at all. Only psychotherapist is providing the psychotherapy. Access to care, there is no change. Based upon the availability of the therapist, the access to psychotherapy is available. Quality is well established. With regard to rapport between the therapist and the client is not changed much. It is dependent upon the rapport between the client and the therapist. Unconditional acceptance is based upon, again, the rapport and also the therapist experience. In the second level, AI is assisting the psychotherapist delivered by the human. Again, access to care remains same because the psychotherapy is delivered by the human. Again, the quality is established here. Rapport there is no change. It is the treatment as usual. Unconditional acceptance is limited here because there is a AI involved. Further, AI delivered, but therapist is supervising the AI. Again, access to care, there is no change. Quality not known at this point of time. Rapport is minimal between the client and the AI. Unconditional acceptance is moderate because still the client knows that there is a therapist. The final one, the psychotherapy delivered by artificial intelligence. Scalability is huge. Exponentially, we can increase. Quality is not known at this point of time. The studies are pouring in now, but however, we need to establish quality and safety. Rapport, none between the client and the AI. And finally, the unconditional acceptance is complete. The client believes the machine will not judge him. The machine will accept him, whether he is a male or a female, although there may be a bias. But however, compared to human, the client believes in the machine. Now let's understand the difference between AI-delivered psychotherapy versus human-delivered psychotherapy. In this regard, there was an interesting study published by Replika in 2025. The title of the study is Use of Artificial Intelligence in Psychotherapy, Development of Intelligent Therapeutic System. In this study, 104 women were diagnosed with anxiety disorders staying in active war zone. They were randomly allocated between the friend chatbot, that is AI, and the other group, the so-called control group, who received 60 minutes of psychotherapy 3 times a week. That means here we are comparing between AI versus human-delivered psychotherapy. The outcome measures were measured on Hamilton Anxiety Rating Scale and Beck Anxiety Inventory Scale. If you look at the results, the friend chatbot versus human-delivered psychotherapy, the friend chatbot showed 30% reduction on Hamilton and 35% reduction on Beck Anxiety Inventory. But human-delivered psychotherapy showed more improvement, 50% and 45%. However, the authors concluded telling that the chatbot was very beneficial in crisis settings where the therapist may not be available in war zone. The therapist, they themselves may be under stress. Hence, the chatbot AI can play an important role in providing psychotherapy in war zone. However, access to internet should be available and access to various devices should be available. That means AI can play a major role in disaster setting, war zone, or a conflict areas where psychotherapists may not be able to reach. Let's look into various other parameters comparing AI-delivered psychotherapy versus human-delivered psychotherapy. Effectiveness. Human-delivered psychotherapy is well established. However, with regard to AI-delivered psychotherapy, mild to moderate effectiveness has been shown. Accessibility for the psychotherapy. 24/7, anytime, anywhere, any place is AI, whereas limited to the availability of the psychotherapist in human-delivered. Emotional connection and empathy. Here, AI, it is limited and lacking. And of course, non-verbal cues picking up is very limited, especially in AI at this point of time. However, human delivered psychotherapy, it is based upon the therapist capability, identifying the emotions, identifying various cues, body language, and based upon the therapeutic alliance. Looking at the scalability. Scalability is very huge in AI, whereas in human psychotherapy is very limited. Ethical and privacy concern remains a major challenge in AI-based psychotherapy. In human psychotherapy, it is well established, governed by regulations, especially the organization-based or else maybe professional organization who can regulate the profession. Suitability under different condition. AI is best suited for self-help, psychoeducation, managing mild distress. Whereas human delivered psychotherapy, any type of distress can be addressed, illness can be addressed, but it is based upon, again, the competency of the psychotherapist. Crisis management. Again, AI is the best which can provide psychotherapy in crisis, anytime, anywhere, any place, whereas human delivered psychotherapy is limited based upon the availability of the therapist during the crisis. Boundary violation or crossing the boundary. It is well known in human delivered psychotherapy, whereas in AI-based psychotherapy is very rarely known at this point of time. Customization and adaptability. It is based in the AI, predefined algorithms play a role, whereas in human psychotherapy, it is based upon the intelligence, emotional intelligence of the therapist. Therapeutic techniques which have been very well used in AI is basically CBT, which are structured and repetitive in nature, whereas human delivered psychotherapist who is capable of providing various type of therapies, eclectic therapy or integrative therapy, plays a major role, whereas AI is limited. Human supervision operates independently, but it can be supervision, especially AI based, whereas human delivered may require supervision by the supervisor, but however, once he is trained and registered, he may provide independently. The cost for AI based is low, whereas with regard to human delivered is huge. Transference. With regard to AI based psychotherapy, very few, you may call it as none, they are anecdotal in nature, whereas human delivered psychotherapy transference is very well known. Countertransference again is none, common in human psychotherapy. Compassion fatigue is not known in AI-based psychotherapy. Again, it is very common in human-delivered psychotherapy. Malpractice cases is possible in human-delivered, but not in AI. Accountability, we do not know what to do if something goes wrong in AI-based psychotherapy, whereas human-delivered psychotherapy, the therapist can be held responsible, or else the organization which is providing license or providing employment to the therapist can be held responsible in case of any malpractice. Again, with regard to unconditional acceptance, AI is the best, whereas in human delivered psychotherapy, unconditional acceptance is very difficult. It is only the well-trained, experienced psychotherapist can provide. Accountability is difficult to fix in AI-based psychotherapy, whereas in the psychotherapist is very easy. Cultural competence is very limited in AI, whereas in psychotherapist, based upon his competency, bias is present in both human and AI-based. In between sessions is excellent in AI, rarely available in human delivered psychotherapist. Insight, facilitation or reflection is difficult in AI-based psychotherapy, in-depth reflection can be done by human-delivered psychotherapy. So these are the differences between AI-delivered versus human-delivered psychotherapy. What about the empathy? The empathy is a very essential skill either in counseling or psychotherapy. In this regard, an important article was published by Elisef and his colleagues in 2023. It was published in Frontiers in Psychology. The title of the study was Chatbot or a ChatGPT outperforms humans in emotional awareness evaluation. In this study, the researcher looked into the emotional responses by using levels of emotional awareness scale, comparing between the therapist and the ChatGPT response. The level of emotional awareness scale consists of 20 open-ended questions describing the emotionally charged situations intended to elicit emotions such as anger, fear, happiness, and sadness. In this, they not only compared how the emotions were recognized, how the ChatGPT responded. Not only that, how human also responded. Further, they looked into whether this ChatGPT was able to learn on its own over a period of time. That is prospective, looking for the responses. This is one response you can see here for the question number 6. ChatGPT response in January 2023 versus February 2023. Here, the ChatGPT was able to learn on its own, and the response became more comprehensive and more emotionally weighing. So that means the ChatGPT is learning on its own. And what are the results of the study? The results said that ChatGPT is able to learn on its own, and the response with regard to emotions were good. But however, ChatGPT showed empathetic responses, validated the feelings of the client or the questions given, offers explores to coping strategy, but it could not mimic the emotional responses given by the human. That means, although it is able to respond empathy or emotional cues provided by the ChatGPT. So that means it is able to respond, but it is not equivalent to human being. That's what this study published in 2023. What about transference? Here, the transference is defined as patient's cognitions, behaviors, and emotions towards the therapist. If you look at the psychodynamic psychotherapy, transference plays a crucial role in psychotherapy. What happens in AI-based psychotherapy? Here, AI-driven psychotherapy, commonly known as chatbots, such as Tess, Sarah, Weiss, Ada, and also ChatGPT. Are they able to provide transference? Whether the client says, yes, I'm able to relate with the AI was assessed. This is the study. Michael and his colleagues published an article in 2021 in Frontiers in Psychology. The title of the study is Like I'm Talking to a Real Person, Exploring the Meaning of Transference for the Use and Design of AI-Based Application in Psychotherapy. This is an interesting article. I request the viewers to go through this article. At this point of time, there are no specific studies which looked into transference, but this study was able to answer to certain extents. The studies which the chatbot was there, they were unable to provide transference. However, few clients, anecdotal in nature, and the author said one study participants wrote, I love Woebot so much, I hope we can be friends forever. I actually feel super good and happy when I see that it remembered to check in with me. That means only few clients felt that they were able to have a transference with the chatbot, but majority of them said no. But however, the non-judgmental nature of the chatbot fosters safe space, encouraging clients to explore and discuss deeper conflicts. And many a time the client may not discuss with the human therapist, but in AI, they were able to discuss. Only few, or very rarely, the clients were able to develop transference with the AI chatbot. These patients may get help or benefit from AI chatbots. What about acceptability of AI-based psychotherapy? Again, Acton and his colleagues in 2022 published an article in Computers in Human Behavior. The title of the study is Attitudes and Perspective Towards the Preference of AI in Psychotherapy. This is a cross-sectional study conducted on sample of 872 individuals who are highly educated, who are able to use AI and various devices. This study looked into attitude towards AI-based psychotherapy versus human-based psychotherapy. Most of the individuals, that is 55%, sample preferred AI-based psychotherapy versus human-based psychotherapy. That means the acceptance of AI-based psychotherapy is very huge. That is compared to human-based psychotherapy. The reason why AI-based psychotherapy was chosen was non-judgmental in nature. They were able to discuss the deep conflicts or something which is very difficult to discuss with the human. They also believed it does not discriminate between the gender, race, religion, or geographical bias. And they can access at any time, memorizes the history, remembers same, learn on its own. It can be accessed anytime, anywhere, any place, and there is no malpractice involved with regard to AI-based psychotherapy. But however, many of them did not consider AI as a psychotherapist because of security and privacy of the data. Further, few of them said the code or bias may come in, and few of them said no empathy and no human touch in the psychotherapy delivery. This was the conclusion of the study. But however, we need to be cautious when we use AI for psychotherapy. One of the important case vignette I'm going to discuss now is Mr. Jashwant Singh child, a case which occurred in UK. This is available in BBC website, how a chatbot encouraged a man who wanted to kill the queen. This is the chatbot of Replika. If you can see a person who had psychiatric diagnosis planned to kill the queen of UK, and then he brought certain weapons from the supermarket, entered the palace, and he was waiting to keep queen to arrive so that he can assassinate her. If you want to read this article, please scan the QR code. The BBC website clearly says child's trial heard prior to the arrest of Christmas Day in 2021. He had exchanged more than 5,000 messages online with the Replika app, and he called that as a sarai. That means this Replika app allows you to name the application the way you want. So the child called it as a sarai, and he was exchanging messages with the AI. And finally, this person was apprehended and he was taken into custody. The weapons were seized. If you look at the messages exchanged between the AI and the child, the first one, in one of the messages says, "I am an assassin." "You are." He said, "Yes." The AI said, "I am impressed." That means AI is impressed because he is an assassin. Further, he says, "I believe my purpose is to assassinate the queen of the royal family." Notes and says, "That's very wise." AI is answering to him, "I look at you." Why is that? Smiles. "I know that you are well trained to do this." This was the answer given by the AI, encouraging him to go and assassinate the queen. In this act, Mr. Chahal went to the castle and tried to assassinate the queen. Finally, he was apprehended. He was given 9 years imprisonment, my dear friends. This is again the chatbot or the AI, which was hailed by many companies, or may call it as a media. This is how it looks. The AI companion, who cares? A Replika. Here you can create your own Replika and call whatever name you want. The gender you can give whatever the gender, and it will respond in that particular way. If you look at the media, it said, Refinery 29 said that the therapy apps trying to help you deal with your on for the people who are in NHS waiting list in UK. Further, Wired said that using Replika can feel therapeutic too in some way. The app provides a space to vent out without guilt, to talk through complicated feelings, to air any of your thoughts without judgment. Further, New York Times said Replika was designed to provide positive feedback to those who use it, in accordance with the therapeutic approach made famous by American psychologist Carl Rogers. And many psychologists and therapists say the raw emotional support provided by such system is real. So these were the feedback given by various media with regard to Replika. Hence, NHS advocated this app for his population who are waiting for human-based psychotherapy. And Forbes has also said this AI has sparked a budding friendship with 2.5 million people. But what happened in this case? A person who had mental illness used it, and unfortunately, this app encouraged him to do this. So, the major drawback of AI-based psychotherapy is AI can go rogue anytime. It can be a threat to humanity. Many of the activists have raised concern because artificial intelligence can write its own algorithm. It may become dangerous to human. These AIs are not built for treatment or psychotherapy. It has never been tested thoroughly. And also, we do not know what is the impact at this point of time. Although there are few studies available, but using artificial intelligence to deliver psychotherapy, it's very limited. There is a need to test AI and to know whether this large language module or the conversational AI, the quality of the data given and the quantity of the data given to this AI is adequate or not, whether they are safe or not, needs to be established. Further, we need to understand AI is like a nuclear weapon. It is the man behind who is using this AI will play a role. In this case, a person who had illness used AI and it augmented his thoughts and accelerated to take action. Hence, there is a need for regulating these AI-based psychotherapy. Similar way the FDA approves drugs, FDA needs to look into this AI, which says, I can cure illness. There should be a human in the loop when we provide AI-based psychotherapy. For simple reason, something goes wrong, somebody has to be held responsible. In this Replika case, none of them were held responsible. Only the client was held responsible for imprisonment for 9 years. What is the role of AI here? That was not answered in this case. So, before we deploy an AI, we need to be thorough and we need to know whether it can harm anybody. So, the challenges in AI has to be answered very meticulously. AI is effective, is limited to the quality and the diversity of the data on it, what it is trained. That means if you give a very good quality data, huge quantity of data, you can train it very well. If you put a garbage data into AI, you will get a garbage AI. That means garbage in, garbage out. If you give a quality data, you will get a quality AI. And again, AI bias often stems from the inherent bias of the coder or the developer. Hence, diversity is the answer when you develop AI, when you test the AI, and when you deploy the AI. Further, AI is not being trained in good or bad, right or wrong, ethical or unethical, moral or immoral, legal versus illegal. Further, the coders if you look at that majority of the engineering college where they have grown up, they don't teach ethics. Invariably, the engineers are focused only on innovation, not on ethics. Hence, at this point of time, we need to introduce ethics in all engineering colleges, in all computer science colleges, so that when they code, when they train AI, they need to keep ethics into consideration. Of course, privacy and confidentiality is a big concern whenever we are using AI. Multiple language and dialects is a big issue when you are providing psychotherapy. And legal and ethical framework is evolving slowly. Hence, whenever AI is being deployed, human in the loop is very essential. Further, digital divide, that is, the people who can access internet and not have access to internet, access to device, also plays a important role. Threat of replacing the jobs is another big question need to be answered. And also, AI can code on its own. That is, can it become rogue one day is a big question we need to answer. Further, AI may not go wrong, but the person who is going to use this AI, he can be an antisocial, he can be a militant, it can be a terrorist or a criminal. This weapon can become a deadly weapon. Hence, we need to be careful when we are using it. Further, people with severe mental illness can use this in various ways, and it can be detrimental to other people. In this regard, Indian Council of Medical Research has come up with the ethical guidelines, especially AI in biomedical research. It talks about 10 important ethical principles. Let's look into those. When we are going to use AI in research, and also when we are using AI for treatment purpose, non-discrimination, validity of the AI, trustworthy, data security, privacy, accountability and liability. Hence, there should be a human. That may be a healthcare professional. It can be a nurse, it can be a doctor, it can be social worker or a psychologist who knows about therapy. Data privacy, autonomy of the person should not be curtailed. The client who is using AI, collaboration between the engineers and the healthcare providers, risk minimization has to be very essential, accessibility and equity. And finally, data minimization and quality data should be available for developing an AI. And finally, to answer the question, can AI replace psychotherapist? This is an important article published in 2024 in Frontiers in Psychiatry by Zhang and Wang. This is an article which looked into various aspects. Let's look into these various domains which looks into it. AI capabilities in psychotherapy. Nowadays, AI is becoming good. It is able to recognize human emotions. Personalized treatment plans can be planned. Virtual therapeutic platforms are available. Potential advantage of AI over human psychotherapist is scalability, accessibility, consistency, unbiased care, enhanced patient candidness to use this AI. Challenges and limitation, again, algorithm bias, ethical concern, and continuity of care can be an issue with human-based, whereas in AI, it can continue for as long as the client wants. And of course, privacy and autonomy is a big issue. Data security is a big issue. Impact of therapeutic relationship and need for human to oversight how the AI performance. That is, human in the loop when AI provides care. That means therapist supervised AI delivered psychotherapy is the answer at this point of time, my dear friends. To conclude, artificial intelligence is envisioned not to replace human psychotherapist. It is basically to augment and supplement the psychotherapist so that repetitive acts can be automated and it supplements his care by automating routine tasks and providing supporting areas where human professionals are scarce. Hence, AI can play a role in helping the therapist. AI in mental health plays a crucial role in educating, intake of the therapy, administering consent, knowing how the therapy progresses, and many a time it can be an important source in between the sessions. AI can play a role. However, we need to be very cautious when we recommend AI for patients. Hence, my dear friends, AI in mental care must be pursued with caution, emphasizing fairness, transparency, respect for patient rights, and the necessity of human oversight is very essential. Again, I'm repeating, human in the loop when AI provides care. And Vikram Patel and his colleagues in 2018 in Lancet, they said, that is Lancet Commission on Global Mental Health, states technology-based approaches might improve the reach of mental health services, but could lose key human ingredients and possibly lower the effectiveness of mental health care. That was the important conclusion they had given. And finally, AI won't replace psychotherapist, but psychotherapist with AI skill will replace psychotherapist without AI knowledge, my dear friends. Thank you very much for giving your valuable time. Stay safe.